Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Today we are talking about retinol and retinoid. I just thought I would explain the difference between the two first and then go on to talk about what creams are out there, what kind of percentage of retinol they've got in them, and give you the side effects of retinols and retinoids and the benefits, etc. Now, somebody did ask me, they left a comment on one of my videos saying, what's the difference between retinol and retinoids? And it was great because I actually had in mind to do a video, and it kind of gave me the push I needed to put it all down on paper and kind of figure out exactly what I was going to tell you guys. So I'll start by telling you the difference between retinoid and retinol. So retinoid is a vitamin A derivative, so it's a type of vitamin A. And it's a cream that was found or licensed 40 years ago for acne. And the people that were using it for acne found that their fine lines were disappearing. So it was also realised that there was other benefits of retinoid. And retinoid is a cream that can only be prescribed by your doctor, so by your GP or dermatologist. It is a very strong cream, and there are 3 different strengths. So there's mild, medium and high, if you like. Mild, medium and strong. A mild one, an example of a mild one would be Differin or adapalene. Adapalene is the ingredient, and this is what I've got. I've just been prescribed this for acne and I'm using it on my chin. And this is a 0.1% gel. So then you've got the medium strength retinoid cream, and that would be something like tretinoin is the ingredient, and you would probably know it as Retin A. So Retin A cream is a retinoid cream that has an ingredient of tretinoin, which is a medium strength retinoid. So I know that sounds a bit complicated, but hopefully by the end of this you will understand. And then there is a high strength one, which would be something like Tazorac, which has tazarotene in it, which is a very high strength retinoid cream, but I don't think is very often prescribed because there are side effects to all retinoid creams. So like I said, retinoid cream is prescribed by your doctor. The benefits of it is it unclogs pores, it evens out your tone, it increases cell turnover of your skin, helps your skin produce more collagen, so it kind of plumps up your skin. And therefore it works on fine lines. Unclogging of the pores is why it helps acne, and it can even out your tone, like I said, and kind of change discoloration. And all of those benefits can happen in about 4 weeks. But there are side effects, and the side effects are generally the same for everybody. It's not one of these where one person might get one thing and one person might get another, but everybody will react to a lesser or greater degree. And the side effects are dry, red, itchy, scaly skin. So you could get very, very mild flakiness. I've actually got a little bit of flakiness. I will talk about my experience later, which isn't very much at this stage, but I've got a little bit of flaking on my chin where I've just started using that retinoid. So that's what everybody will get. So the next thing is retinol, and retinol is basically retinoid cream, but it's a weaker version, and it's one that you can buy in the shop. So you can buy it in other creams that have other ingredients in, and retinol is one of those ingredients, and it will probably be advertised as a kind of anti-aging cream. And an example of that is this is the Indeed Labs Retinol Reface. So this is a retinol cream. This is what I've bought in Boots. This is a retinoid cream that has been prescribed by my GP for acne. So retinol creams they convert to retinoid cream on the skin. So it's really, there's only one base cream, which is retinoid, but retinol converts to retinoid on your skin, but it's much less strong. So you'll get exactly the same benefits and exactly the same side effects. You might get dry skin, and you will get the benefits of, you know, it working on fine lines and pores and spots, etc., except that it will take a lot longer and the side effects will be a lot less severe. So there's good and bad about getting a prescription or buying it yourself over the counter. I think in the UK you can't just go to a dermatologist and be prescribed it for wrinkles, as far as I know. Maybe privately you can, but certainly on the NHS I don't think you would be able to. But you need to be prescribed it for, you know, for blemishes. But the retinol that you can buy in products in Boots is obviously open to everybody. So that's a good kind of positive point about retinol. The other thing with retinol is it's unlikely to produce much dryness and scaly, itching skin. That's more likely to happen with retinoid because, like I said, it's a lot weaker version of a retinoid cream. But the downside is that it will take 12 weeks as opposed to 4 weeks to see benefits. So with a retinoid cream that you get from the GP, you'll see benefits in about 4 weeks. With the retinol you buy from the shops, it will take about 12 weeks. So there's a lot longer wait. And again, that varies person to person. Some people it'll be quicker, some people longer, but that's the averages. So that's kind of the downside of the retinol cream. And then obviously you have to pay for the retinol cream, and they're generally quite expensive. So if you're currently using a retinoid cream, I would recommend waiting until you cleanse your face as normal, and then you wait until it's completely dry, because that can stop the side effects being so bad. If your skin is wet and you use retinoid cream, that can increase the irritation. I would recommend starting very slowly. So use a tiny amount and see how you react, and then build it up. You know, get your skin used to it. Maybe if it says use it twice a day, start off using it once a day and then increase to twice a day. Or if it says use once a day, use it once every other day and then increase. That's what I'm doing at the moment. I started off using Retinol that I bought over the counter, and I'm just using that on this area at the moment because I want to try and work on the pores, even though my pores are not from clogging, it's actually from, as you age, there's less elasticity and the pores get bigger. So, and that's generally where I've got pores. So don't expect it to have too much of a difference on that, but I'm also putting it where I've got fine lines and, you know, helping kind of skin turnover. But I also used this as a kind of preparation for getting the retinoid that I knew I was going to be prescribed. And so now I'm using a very thin layer of this on my chin every other night. So I'm not starting with using this straight away, but this one is absolutely fine and I've had no side effects at all. So I'll go on to tell you about what retinol creams are out there. I'm not going to talk now much about retinoid. The only thing I'll say is, like I said, I've got this from the doctor. I will do a full review if you guys want on how it works, if it works for me, because I'm going to stop my medication that I use for my hormone balance and instead just use a cream on my skin and see how I get on with that. And I'll also do a full review on this, but I'm going to wait and see what happens after the 4 weeks. I think this will last about 4 weeks and then see if I buy another one. So I'm really just talking about the retinol creams now that you can buy over the counter. Now, a lot of retinol creams, the companies will not disclose how much retinol is in them, which I find a bit unusual, but I guess that's kind of the skincare industry. They don't want you to know, they want you to buy the cream. So I've stuck to ones on this list that have declared how much retinol they've got in, except for this one, because this is one of those companies that they haven't told us how much is in this, but it has great reviews. It was £20 and it was available in Boots, and that's why I bought it, because like I said, it had good reviews. I kind of trust the brand. I've used a couple of other things from them that I quite enjoy, and yeah, I was happy to buy this, but this is the only one that I'm talking about that doesn't have any indication of how much retinol is in it. I've only used it for about a week and a half now. I'm not noticing any drastic results because, as I said, it's a retinol cream. This would take about 12 weeks to see any difference. But my skin does feel lovely after using it, I would say that. It feels lovely. It's not, my skin hasn't gone dry at all. It just feels very nice. So I've got high hopes for this. And I have also used one other one, which is the Redermic R, which is on this list. And I'll talk about that when I get to it. So the first one on the list is Philosophy Help Me. And this you can get from Boots. It's a 30ml bottle. Yeah, same size as this. And that one costs £38, so it's double the price of this one. But it tells you that it's got 0.15% of retinol in it. So that's quite a low level, but it's still a level that will work. And this one has great reviews. People are raving about this one. Next on the list is Redermic R that I mentioned, and that's a La Roche-Posay one. And it's a fairly new one because this is one that if you've got sensitive skin that is sensitive to retinol, they're saying this one will not make you sensitive. I used this cream, I used a whole tube of it. It probably lasted about a month. And again, it made my skin feel amazing, but I didn't notice any difference. But I didn't put it on my chin area, I just kind of put it in the middle of my face. And I would repurchase that. I would buy that one again, and it is £28, so £10 less expensive than the Philosophy one. And it has 0.3% retinol in it, so double the amount of the Philosophy one. So next on the list is one from Amazon, and it's called Retinol Refining Night Cream by SkinCeuticals, and it's 30ml again. It's £40, so the same price as the Philosophy one, but it has 0.5% retinol, so it actually has more than double the amount in the Philosophy one. This is like a classroom thing, isn't it? I'm thinking, are you guys keeping up? Because I can barely keep up with myself. And that one is £40, I've told you that. The next one on the list is Retinol A 1%, also on Amazon, and it has 1% of retinol, and it's £10. I have to say that I'm a bit sceptical of that one because it doesn't have a brand. It's just called Retin A 1%, and £10 is very cheap, and retinol is an expensive ingredient. You know, these things are not expensive just because of the names. Retinol is an expensive ingredient, so I'm not sure how they can do that and only charge £10. But on the other side, the reviews, and there are a lot, it's not just like one or two, there's a lot of reviews on Amazon and they're all very, very good. And then the final one is the Peter Thomas Roth Retinol Fusion PM Serum, again from Amazon. And this has got 1.5% of retinol in it. So this is the highest level of retinol of any of the ones that I could find. And this one is $63.95, so very, very expensive. Now, if I had the money, that's the one that I would buy, because although it's £64, you'll get 30 ml, so you get the same amount in this. And like I said, it's got the highest level of retinol, so I would have used that to try and see how my skin reacted before going on to a retinol. So that's all of the creams that I'm talking about today. So I would say if you've got sensitive skin, perhaps go for the Redermic R1 in Boots by La Roche Posay, because that is advertised as being good for sensitive skin. If you are concerned about the money and don't want to spend a lot of money, maybe go for that one from Amazon, which is Retinol A. I'll make sure I list all of these below, don't worry. You know, if you like Philosophy as a brand, maybe try that one, and that's the most gentle one. That's the one with the least amount of retinol in it, so that's maybe one to start off with if you're concerned about reacting. And if you like some of the Indeed Labs products, then maybe try this one, Retinol Reface, because this one for me, like I said, has made my skin feel very nice, so I would definitely recommend it. So I think that's everything I've got to tell you. I hope that that answered any questions you might have. If you've got any other questions, then please leave them in the comments below and I will try my best to answer them. Let me know your experience of retinol, retinoid, if you use creams. I'd love to know what you guys' experience is, because I'm only kind of at the beginning of my journey of both of these, and so I'm not really sure how I'm going to react. So it's really interesting to me how other people have reacted. And if you've got a cream to recommend, then that would be great to leave it in the comments for everybody else as well. And like I said, if you want, I will do a full review of the Retinol Reface, but it will be another couple of months because I need to give it the 12 weeks. So thanks so much for watching. I hope that that was useful for you, and I'll see you again in my next video.